Hey, my name is Barry, and this is my Tesla Model 3 2024 standard range rear-wheel drive. I'm heading out to Columbus International Airport right now to pick up my wife, and I'm going to use full self-driving to get there all the way. I hope I don't have to intervene. I want to document it for the channel. I'm on the road to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So if you haven't already subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. Let's head over to Columbus and see if we can get there fully autonomously. By the way, before we head into the car and go to the airport, I wanted to show you a little trick that I found is easier to open the door handles on pretty much any Tesla model that you have. Typically what you would do is you would press in and then pull from here, right? But what I found actually to be easier is if you press it, unlocks from here, you just pull it this way. It's so much easier. Let me show you again. You just press from here, unlocks, pull, right? As opposed to doing this type of maneuver, which is fine as well. It's just a little bit easier for me personally. I found it to be more intuitive. I'm going to go ahead and type in CMH. I actually want to go to the cell phone lot today. I don't want to get into the terminal arrival. I'm going to go to the cell phone lot because I'm going to be a few minutes early. My wife's flight lands around 6:45, 6:30-ish. Currently, I'm showing 6:07 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to see if I can get into the cell phone lot, and then once I'm in there, I'm going to see if I can park itself. I'm going to see if the car can park itself as well to see how that goes. But right now, I have a 22-minute drive, so let's head out. All right, so we're all set to go. We're showing 22 minutes, 14 miles. I'm going to press and hold this blue button to engage Tesla full self-driving. I'm running version 13.2.9 for FSD. Thank you so much for all of the support and the comments for my last couple of videos. It's been awesome collaborating with you guys, reading all the comments, and I've been doing my best to try and get back to every single comment, or as many as I possibly can. So I really appreciate all the support. We're just going to be leaving this plaza here, and then out of this plaza, we'll be making an immediate right. It's going to be 6:30 by the time we get to the cell phone lot. So traffic on a Sunday night, we might see a little bit. Let me see if I actually have highways on. Nope. Okay, so avoid highways is currently off, which is just the way I want it right now. I don't mind heading onto the highway today. So that's always a neat feature, and that's kind of a newer feature too. Keep that in mind for anybody that wants to avoid highways or just doesn't like driving on highways for whatever reason. There's an option now to avoid that as of a very recent update. Really, that's only a few months of a version update ago. So I like it because for me personally, because I'm a FSD content creator, avoiding highways is kind of more interesting for the videos. Today I don't mind it because I'm just going straight to the airport to pick up the wife, and then head back into the suburbs. But in general, it's a nice feature to have, and it's actually quite funny that it took Tesla that amount of time to implement that feature because it seems rather simple. But I hope you enjoyed that little door trick as well. It's like super easy for me to open the door in that way as opposed to just like pulling the handle. So I figured I'd just share it with you guys. I want to point something out real quick with this road that we're on. We just went from a 45 down to a 25, and FSD is doing a really good job with slowing down. Now, the only problem in this case is that, not really a problem, but in terms of from the experiment perspective, we had this lead car in front of us that slowed down. I wonder if Tesla would have slowed down as quickly as it just did if it wasn't for this lead car slowing down first. 45 to a 25 mile per hour decrease in zones is rather abrupt, and from my experience, it never really did a great job. It continued at the speed in which was the higher allocated zone, so a lot of times in this case it would be going like 45 in a 25, which is definitely ticket worthy. Actually, it's funny. One of you guys were it was, I think it was Michigan, somewhere in the Midwest. There was a retired police officer that had commented, and it's funny, like they basically, the comment, this was a while ago, a couple weeks or maybe a couple months ago from an older video, but basically what it said is, I'm a retired police officer is what the comment read, and then they carried on and said like, if you're going 8 or below the speed limit, you're generally okay. If you're going 9 miles per hour or above, that's where it gets shady. And I think the quote he used, and it stuck with me, 9, you're mine. And that's how I remember it. 9, you're mine. So if you're going over 9 miles per hour, that's probably, ticket worthy zones or speed rather. So if you're going 9 or over, 9 your mind, keep that in mind. Again, I'm not providing any law like information. This is just my own experience, and you should absolutely follow the speed zones and limits in your area. I am not giving any advice. Definitely follow the speed. But a lot of traffic does go over the allocated speed limit in any particular zone, and that's why Tesla implemented the offset settings to allow for you to control how much over the speed limit you want to go to keep up with the flow of traffic. So I found that to be an interesting quote, and it kind of stuck with me. 9 your mind. So I wish that the lead car wasn't there when we went from 45 to 25. I'm gonna go back to that area, and what I will do is replicate that a few times over with a lead car and without, to see if Tesla FSD slows down just the way it did currently. I want to say, unless it drastically already improved over the last couple updates, that most likely it won't slow down as it did with this lead car. But we'll have to go back and see. I mean, that's why I like to experiment, and try things out, and document it, record it, and then collaborate with you guys as well. We're going 40 and a 45. I got a couple comments from the last video as well saying, hey, sometimes my Tesla FSD registers or does not register the speed limit, but the car is going over the allocated speed limit. So like, for example, if you're in a 45 mile per hour zone, the car might not read that. It might show 35, but the viewer was telling me that the car was going 45, let's say. So it was registering one speed, but the physical movement of the car was actually going according to the actual speed limit, if that makes any sense. So I think that is probably related to your offset settings. Like if you're defaulted to 40%, which is quite high in my opinion. I actually changed mine to 40% as of a couple days ago. I don't think I updated you guys on that. But I did change it to 40% because I found that the car was going a little bit slower with 13.2.9 with just the 15% offset. So I raised it up to default. That's just me tinkering with things, trying things out, and configuring different settings just for the purpose of documenting it and bringing it to you guys. But in general, I think that sounds awfully similar to how your offset settings are set or lack thereof. So keep in mind that it does default to 40%. At least I think it still does. Mine definitely did. And so keep that in mind. If you want to drop that, go ahead and drop that down, But we have about 0.4 miles to go until we take the 270 East ramp out onto the highway. So I'm going to check in with you guys just in a second once we get closer to the ramp and onto the highway. All right, so we are now merging onto the highway. We're in a 65 mile per hour zone right now, going about 67. And you can see FSD just merged us into the far right lane. Now we're going one more over, and we are in the standard profile. And I'm going to be maintaining the standard profile until we get to the airport. I'm not going to change that. In my last video, I know I said I'm going to stick to standard, and then I was doing some experimentation based on one of your questions, in terms of can we change the follow distance in hurry mode. So I switched to hurry mode, never switched it back. So it was like half standard, half hurry. But in this video, I'm going to maintain all of standard, unless I have to intervene with the car, of course. But speaking of highways, I wanted to ask you guys, and let me know down in the comments below. Have any of you guys camped in your Teslas? I've been really gearing up to do a overnight camping situation in my car, and I have a foam pad that I already bought and set up in the back, and it's actually quite comfortable. Because this car is really awesome to camp in. Like, it has camp mode obviously integrated in, but you can run your heating and cooling all night and not worry about the engine idling like you would in a traditional gas car. You can have access to security cameras on board in real time, and then record it, of course, which you really won't find unless you have like an external dash cam. You won't find on a traditional ICE car. So, you know, it's definitely a thought that I've been thinking about and something that I want to do. And if you guys have any experience with car camping or anything like that in a Tesla, let me know, because I feel like it's going to be super simple, very convenient, and quite comfortable. I just did a little test a couple days ago. I didn't actually spend the night in the car yet, but I did buy the little foam pad from Walmart. It cost me like 30 bucks. A sheet, a blanket, and a pillow really is all you need, right? And so you can pull up to any KOA. You could actually camp at KOAs as well, which is just, what is it? Campgrounds of America, I think is what the acronym stands for. So it's like campsites all across the country that you can purchase little plots for a night or a couple nights, depending on your stay. So you'll see a lot of RVs go there. But I called the KOA in the area, and they said, yeah, you can just come with your car and, you know, reserve a spot and just car camp. So that would be a good way to get my feet wet in terms of camping in the Tesla, because you have, you know, you have a paid lot with bathroom access, amenities, shower, hookups if you need. But I think even if you don't have hookups, you can stealth camp in this thing as well. You could probably do a overnight car camping session in the middle of a city, as long as you're inconspicuous enough, because this thing's super quiet. You can run your heat and cooling all night. Nobody's going to know the difference. So let me know down in the comments if anybody has ever experienced that. You can see the highways are just great with FSD. This is where it shines. And you know, part of me wants to do a longer road trip and camp in here because of the way FSD operates on highways. You can just kick back, relax. Of course, you want to stay complacent. You want to stay attentive, definitely. 100%. That's a guarantee. You want to be safe, but in general, like, this is where FSD just shines. You know, so you can do long stretches of drives and cover a good bit of ground without getting driver fatigue. You know, you let FSD do all the work, and you stop at a supercharger network every, you know, couple hours, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. I do have the standard range model, so for me, it's probably closer to about every hour, 45 minutes, realistically. I know on paper it might be a little bit more, but I'd say every 2 hours I'd have to stop to charge up. And the charges are only maybe, depending on how far in between the superchargers are, which, I mean, these days it seems like there's really one almost everywhere. But you know, you'll stop for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes, just enough time to grab a bite to eat, stretch your legs. Like every 2 hours is a good time to stop anyways if you're doing a road trip. So it makes sense. It doesn't really make your experience inconvenient, at least not in my opinion. And it's subjective. That's just my thought. I would like to stop every 2 hours anyway. So if I have to stop, charge up, and then, you know, grab a bite to eat, maybe a snack, stretch my legs, use the bathroom, for me, it's not a problem, you know, but again, it is subjective. So, but you can see, I mean, this is where FSD just shines, you know, these long stretches on the highways. I've had very rarely any issues on highways, and I can't even really think of a time where I've had to disengage on a highway. Maybe once due to FSD in earlier versions missing an exit, but honestly, it's really not that bad. This is interesting. This lane's ending. So you saw how it went to that far right lane there, recognized that the lane was ending, and then auto-corrected, which is great. We have the airport exit coming up here in 0.2 miles right now. I can see it right up ahead. Exit 35A. I'm curious to see how FSD is going to react to the cell phone lot, for one, but then two, the speed limit changes as you approach the airport. CMH is kind of going under a massive construction project right now. I believe it's due to Intel, the chip manufacturer, coming into New Albany, which is a suburb of Columbus. They're building a huge corporate network for their expansion projects. And so because of that, I think they are expanding the Columbus or CMH airport to accommodate for all the new traffic we're going to be seeing over the next few years. But the construction is quite massive there right now. I mean, it is actually quite intense in some areas. Nothing that I think FSD can't handle. I think I've put it through situations very similar to what we're about to see here in the airport. But we'll see. You never know. You never know. We'll see how FSD reacts. So we got 0.2 miles until we get off this highway. I'm going to check in with you guys once we get a little bit closer to the beginning of the airport, or unless something happens prior to that, of course. So I'll check in with you guys once we start getting into the airport ground. All right, so I can see air traffic control, and we just hit a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit zone due to the construction. We went from a 65 to a 25. I don't think I've ever seen that before, nor do I think I've ever experienced that with full self-driving either. Of course, we have traffic right in front of us that is controlling the speed in which FSD is going. So again, going back to that lead car, we dropped down from 65, currently going 46, and it's showing 25, and it is picking that up, but again, we're keeping up with the flow of traffic. Here's where you're gonna start to see the construction. So about a year ago, none of this construction was here, but since, again, Intel's coming in, they're expanding this pretty significantly. This did not look like this about a year ago or so. It looked pretty developed, pretty finished, but now they are expanding. So there's the air traffic control tower. We have a 2-lane road. Again, we're in a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit zone due to the construction, and we're going 35, but we are keeping up with the flow of traffic. I'm really curious to see how FSD is going to react with this cell phone lot. We got the blinker on. Not sure why it's trying to do that, because this lane ends anyways. So, oh, it's getting really close there. Okay, that's fine. I mean, ultimately it did what it needed to do. It just looked like it wasn't correcting itself when that lane was ending. Long-term parking. We need to find the cell phone lot. I plugged in the cell phone lot in the map. Let's see where it is. Okay, hotels. This is a U-turn, detour. So we have hotels here on the right. We have a stop sign. And it looks like it's going to be routing us. Let me see the map here. Okay, so it looks like, I'm not sure why does it need to stop here? Maybe, because we have traffic coming from the rear. You can see here, still traffic from the rear, and now we went. Okay. I think it was being a little safe and conservative there. So it was waiting at the stop sign, went through the stop sign, but then waited for the traffic to clear. But maybe you did the right thing. I'm not sure. That's all pretty subjective. I mean, it took the safe route, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with it being safe. Honestly, it's been a long time since I have been to the cell phone lot here in the CMH airport. And I thought it was on that side, but maybe they moved it because of the construction. So I'm just going to let FSD do its thing here and see where it brings me. I don't see any signs yet for the cell phone lot. I'm trying to read up ahead to see if there's any signage. So we have parking garages, terminals, rental cars. If we look at the map again, it's telling me that the waiting lot is here, so it actually is doing the right thing. According to Tesla Maps, I still don't, oh, terminal, cell phone lot. Awesome. That is awesome. Okay, cool. So it brought us to where we need to be. Cell phone lot, there you go. It's telling me to apply some force to the wheel, probably because of my hat. All right, so I think they did move the cell phone lot location. Pulling in. Sweet. This is awesome. The Bronco's going the wrong way. He should have pulled out and went that way, but he took the shortcut. That's fine. it might drop us off right here. Okay. Wow, look at this. I don't even have to press the parking spot. Is it going to reverse and correct its... Oh my gosh, look at this. I have to give it a round of applause. Well, let's not cheer yet because I don't know what it's actually doing. I thought it was going to park itself. It's not parking itself. Okay. So what is it doing? All right. We got a standoff here. Okay, so it's trying to negotiate with that car. It's telling me to... Uh-oh. I can't go there. Nope. I can't do that. So, that was a fail because it tried to park. Actually, I don't think it tried to park. It just tried to like reverse itself in that spot. Then it tried to... let me get out of this area here. Then it tried to back out of the lot and then go back out into the part in which we came in from. But obviously that was not the right call because we had the do not enter sign. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, that wasn't awesome, but definitely not great. Let me go ahead and press this. So what it's going to do now is it's going to auto park. So if you haven't seen this before, for any new viewers, there's a auto park feature that comes with, I think it's FSD. I'm not sure if it comes standard without FSD, but as you can see, it's parking itself fully on its own right now. I'm not having to touch anything. If you pay attention here, it's going to park itself. And there was a gentleman that honked at us because I think we might have been getting too close, perhaps. Not exactly sure, but it seems like it's fine because this is a pretty tight parking spot anyways, but we made it. So not exactly sure what happened with the final U-turn and, you know, the final park spot up just a few spaces down that way where you try to pull in, then pull out, and then go out the do not enter sign. Not exactly sure what happened there at all. So if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. Otherwise, we made it to the cell phone lot. We didn't have to disengage until it tried to, of course, back out from the cell phone lot. But otherwise, I think this was a pretty fun drive. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it if you do. I'm on the road to 5,000 subscribers. And again, I appreciate each and every one of you that have already subscribed. Thank you for tuning in to this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.